There's a bill being proposed at the State House that could, in some cases, allow local governments to overturn decisions being made by their local health departments.
This is not hyperbole. This bill will cost lives. I need you to understand that. This bill will cost lives. I'll repeat that one more time. This bill will cost lives.
What do you say to claims that this will cost lives?
That's malarkey. It won't cost lives, just like the same gentleman said that this is a knee-jerk reaction. Knee-jerk reaction, I suggest you go talk to the people that's filed bankruptcy. That's 30% of small businesses have not made it.
The bill passed the Senate committee this past week and will head to the full Senate in the coming days. Let's bring in our panel now. UIndy political science professor Laura Wilson, Importantville's Adam Wren, and Abdul Hakim Shabazz from IndyPolitics.org. Abdul, I'll start with you. Bills like these certainly a hot topic at the State House in the midst of this pandemic. And now word they may also have to hold a special session later this year.
Yes. First of all, with the pandemic bills, there's been a lot of pent-up frustration in a lot of places in Indiana. This is one way that Hoosiers sort of express their frustration is through their elected officials. Luckily, we have a process in place that sort of mitigates some of these things, like taking away the governor's emergency declaration powers, prohibiting states from regulating the size of schools, that sort of thing. So luckily, that'll take its spot. And also, we got 3.5 months to go before lawmakers end. With respect to a special session, yes, you're right. Because of the census and the data that won't be available until April, I believe it is, and lawmakers leave in April, we're gonna have a special session. Not so much for congressional districts, because congressional districts can be drawn without all the data. But to draw state maps and state house districts and state senate districts, then you definitely need to have that census data, and lawmakers may have to come back. The Speaker and the Senate President talked about maybe July or early August for that.
We'll see what happens. Laura, the big issue everywhere, obviously the vaccine distribution, and it certainly seems like the first measure by which our new president will be judged.
Oh, it will. And we've heard about Johnson & Johnson, right? They may have a vaccine on the market quite soon, although there's questions in terms of whether or not it will save against all sorts of strains. But he made an incredible statement by saying the 100 million in 100 days. And that's very ambitious. That's certainly something our country needs, but it's also going to be very difficult to do. And in that distribution challenge, it's really neat to see how every state is handling it a little bit different in terms of who gets the vaccine, who's first and foremost, and just the challenge from an actual distribution. Of course, this vaccine has to be kept at very cold temperatures. You have to have, with the Moderna and Pfizer that are both available on the market right now, you have to have those 2 vaccine shots within 30 days. So there's a lot of complications. It's an important policy, but I think one that is very ambitious and will be, of course, this key moment in his first 100-day mark.
A lot of moving parts there, as you mentioned. Adam, staying in Washington, a lot happening here in the coming days. COVID relief talks. Democrats may go it alone there. You've also got the confirmation vote for Pete Buttigieg and the upcoming impeachment trial. You heard the interviews we did there with Indiana senators. What do you make of how they're positioning themselves in the midst of all that and just weeks after the violence on Capitol Hill?
For a long time, Dan, Indiana's congressional delegation on the Republican side was pretty much in lockstep in the Trump era. And now we're seeing some fissures start to break between Senator Braun and Senator Young on issues like cooperating with the administration or working with the administration on bipartisan issues, whether it's confirming Pete Buttigieg for transportation secretary or working on COVID relief talks. So it's really interesting to see Senator Todd Young sort of move to the center, at least the right of center, as he prepares to announce his reelection bid.
Abdul, your thoughts on that divide in the Republican Party and what to do about some in Congress, like Congresswoman Green from Georgia, who's caused a lot of controversy here in recent days?
Well, I think it's interesting that Todd Young will be moving, like I said, to the right of center, even though Todd Young is up for re-election in 2022. So you would think that he would be moving further away from the center, and Mike Young would probably, be toward the center. But I think this is, like I said, it's a bigger issue that Republicans are going to have to figure out. They don't have Donald Trump anymore as president, but Donald Trump's presence is still there. They're going to have to make some tough decisions down the road as to, are they going to be Trumpsters or are they going to be Republicans?
And Laura, can Democrats and Republicans work together in the midst of all this still?
Well, Dan, personally, I'm an optimist. So, yes, I think so. But they also have to, quite frankly. Yes, the Democrats control the House and the White House and theoretically the Senate, but they do have to come across sides and join together in the middle. And we'll see that throughout these important policy issues, but most especially with regards to COVID and the vaccine distribution. We often say this at local government. A lot of the politics is not actually partisan. And that's certainly true in this case. We can make it a partisan issue, but we are doing ourselves a disservice if we do that. And for members of Congress, they're going to need to come together and really support across the aisle in order to make this as effective as possible for our country.
All right. Finally, your winners and losers here for the week. Adam, I'll start with you.
Winner is Pete Buttigieg for making it through his first committee vote, and I would say loser is Mike Braun for not fully assessing the results of his own actions and what they mean for what happened at the Capitol. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of self-reflection there.
Abdul?
Winners, obviously the state of Indiana, as we continue to roll out the vaccine, things slowly begin to come back to normal. And unfortunately, the losers are the city of Indianapolis and the tragic shooting, mass murder that we had this past Sunday with six lives lost.
Pretty devastating set of circumstances there. Laura, you get the last word here.
Okay, I'm not going to have any losers, but I will say for winners, we've actually surpassed the number of Americans who are vaccinated at 26.2 million compared to what we have in terms of the number of Americans who have had COVID in terms of cases. So I think that's a big victory, and it obviously shows there should be light at the end of the tunnel for us.
We hope to see those numbers keep ramping up for sure. Laura, Adam, Abdul, thank you all so much. We appreciate it. Stick around. We'll be right back after this.